Before we get started, can you please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the alert notification to get our latest content?
Hello, everyone. It's Brian Young from Home Painters. I've been in the business now 33 years, and I'm going to bring you our next telecast. It's on how much it costs to paint a 2,500 square foot house in the Toronto or GTA area. And like I said, we've been in business over 33 years. Owned the business Home Painters Toronto for pretty much that time, and we've painted about 17,000 homes. So we've seen a lot of things, and one of our most common questions is how much does it cost to paint your house? 2,500 square foot house is probably a little bigger than the average house in Toronto, and I'm going to give you some generalities based on that. If you like what you hear, by the way, just hit subscribe to our channel and hit the like button, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you, and you can also post any comments as well below as well. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. 2,500 square foot house. I'm going to base this on a 8 to 9 foot ceilings, and it's going to give you some ranges too to work with, so you'll have an idea of what to work with, because there's so many factors involved, and I just want to give you a rough idea how much it costs to do that. Okay, so let's do some numbers first. The walls, we're going to start with the walls because it's the most important and the most common that people want painted. You're looking at about $2 to $2.25 per square foot on the low end to paint them, and $3 on the higher end to paint your walls in Toronto. So I've done some using my calculator here. I did some number crunching, and so that basically works out to about $5,500 on the low end and $7,500 on the high end. The trim and doors, like the baseboards, door frames, window frames as well, any trim ledges, mantles as well, and this is generality, and the only reason I'm doing it this general is because for me to expect you to measure all the linear square footage of everything is not realistic. So I'm going to go on square footage. The average trim and door should be 0.75 per square foot to 1.25 per square foot. So I did some number crunching, and that works out to roughly $1,800 to about $3,100. And then the ceilings is the next one, that common things that clients ask me to do. And you're looking at approximately 0.5, so 50 cents per square foot, to as much as 0.75 cents per square foot. And this is based on a 2,500 square foot house as well. So you do the math, it comes to about $1,200 to $1,900 per square foot. And this one mainly is dependent on if it's stucco or if it's flat ceiling. Stucco ceilings are much more expensive because it uses more paint, requires an oil primer in most cases. So you want to make sure that it's you find out if it's stucco paint or flat paint. The final is the closets, and most closets are the same size in Toronto, so I kind of just came up with a price of $75 to about $150, $175 for a walk-in closet. So a small closet would be $75, and a bigger closet would be $150 to $175 per square foot. Sorry, per closet. Okay, so I'm going to do some quick numbers here for you. So let's say 5,500 plus 1,800 for the trim. This is on the low end, plus about 1,200 for the ceilings, and we'll say there's about 5 to 6 closets per house. So on the low end, you're looking at about $9,000 per square foot for a typical home, 2,500 square foot interior home in Toronto. So about 9,000 to 7,500 on the high end for the walls, 3,100 for the trim, and about 1,900 for the ceilings, and we'll say about $600 for the closets. So 13,000. So 9,000 to about 13,000 was your ballpark range for a typical 2,500 square foot house. Okay. What I'm going to talk about now is why the variance is so huge. It's a huge variance, about $4,000. What makes a huge difference? Okay, so here are the things that do make a huge difference, and if you do talk to your painter, you could probably get a lower price or a better price if you actually let them factor these things into when you're getting a price from them. If you factor in the furniture, if you can guarantee it's either empty or that you're gonna help them move everything, put everything in the middle, take everything off the walls, put all the light switches and whatever have in the middle of the room as well, and get rid of all the clutter, basically, because that's what ties us down and slows us down, is the amount of clutter. If you could do that, the chances are you're going to get a better price from your painter as well. The other thing that may make a huge difference is how soon you want it done and how fast you want it done. For example, if you want it done, let's say tomorrow or the next day versus in a week or 2 or 3 weeks from now, chances are it's going to cost the painter a lot more time and effort to get it done right, start it tomorrow, than 1 or 2 or 3 weeks down the road. The other thing that makes the difference is, as I already mentioned, was the amount of time. So it's a pretty fair size house, 2,500 square feet. Most painting companies should have at least 2 painters, sometimes as many as 3 to 4, just so they're not in your home for that long. But that said, you don't want to actually rush them either and say, we'll bring like 7 or 8 or 9 painters, because then sometimes they're not always, sometimes they're rushing to get it done. You paint your house every 5, 10, 15 years. You want it done properly. So I would obviously not rush them, but tell them to obviously to work diligently, and make sure they have at least 2 to 3 painters on staff painting for a house this size. And it shouldn't take more than a week. I would say 7 to 10 days is average, unless it's one of those bigger halls where it has those huge hallways, cathedral ceilings. Maybe 2 weeks max, but it shouldn't take more than 7. I would say 5 to 7 days would be the average, maximum 2 weeks total. Okay. Size of the house as well, that makes a huge difference. For example, size of the job. For example, if you have a huge 2,500 square foot house, but you only want 1 room done, then it's going to cost more per unit than obviously if you ask me to paint the whole main floor and upstairs. So it's obviously better to obviously get the more done than less. And what I mean by that is, usually when a painter is setting up a job, they have setup costs, ordering the paint, getting it there, setting up the crew to be there, setting up the material, the tools and everything. So that takes time and effort. So obviously if you get more done than less is better. In my view, if you start with like the main floor and the hallway, that's a great thing to start with. Bedrooms, basement can always be done later. You can do that as well, but if you don't have the budget, you could start with the main floor and hallway and go from there. The other is the number of colors. So 2,500 square foot house is a 2,500 square foot house is a pretty big house. So I would say anywhere from 5 to 6 colors is reasonable. Any more than that, there's usually a surcharge. And if you can even tell the painter to keep it down to 3 or 4 or even 2 or 3, chances are you're going to get a better price as well. So keep the number of colors down as low as possible, and the chances are you're going to get a better price as well. Also, make sure they use top line materials. And the reason why I say that is because the cost between cheap materials versus most expensive it's just a fair difference. But on a job this size, you're looking at probably a cost of maybe maximum $1,000, $500,000, $700,000. So better to buy the good paint. And you paint, like I said, every 5, 10, 15 years. Then use cheap paint and have it scratch easily, fail, cost the painters more time in terms of labor. We use Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore. Both are really top line paints, as long as you use their mid to high end, and you're in good shape. But better to use good paint than cheap paint, in my view. The other is the payment terms. For example, some companies offer credit card, which is great, Visa or MasterCard. But if you can pay by check or e-transfers or cash, it's probably you're going to get a better price, just because there's no admin fees associated to that. And obviously, merchants charge, like credit card merchants charge about 2 to 3% on average. So you can probably pass that savings along to you. The other thing that I failed to mention that's probably the biggest difference maker is the amount of prep. For example, if you're in a big lather and plaster home versus a drywall home, automatically 99% chance probably going to be more prep, which means more work. So a lot more wall filling, sanding, caulking, priming than in drywall. So plaster homes automatically is going to be more expensive than drywall. And also, if obviously there's big drywall squares missing, chunks of plaster missing, is going to be more expensive as well. The other thing that makes a big difference is new construction versus repaints. So for example, if you're doing a reno or if it's a completely new construction job, it's going to be more prep involved in terms of filling, sanding, caulking, priming, and which means more paint. So it's going to be more expensive based on that as well. The final thing I'm going to talk about is difficulty of the job. For example, accent walls. If it's a really huge cathedral ceiling requires scaffolding, special ladders, niche products such as wallpaper, full finish, spraying. That's more expensive as well. So you want to watch out for that as well. If you're looking to kind of get a ballpark of your price, it's going to be more expensive if you obviously pick those niche services. Finally, I'm going to talk about what to look for in a painter. This is very important. You want to make sure it's a big job, 2,500 square foot house. You want to make sure you hire the right guy. In my view, really important not to just go off of price. And I would base these factors on who to choose. Responsiveness is the first one. For example, if they get back to you fast, if they can get you a price within a reasonable amount of time once they do meet with you, if they return your calls and texts or emails fast enough, obviously shows they're hungry for the job and they're going to be there for you. Then if they're not. The other thing that makes a big difference is insurance. Make sure they're completely insured. WSIB, general liability insurance in case of damage. WSIB in case of workers' insurance in case someone falls or there's an injury. And criminal checks, of course, so you can trust them in your house, obviously, so you don't have to worry about babysitting them all the time. And peace of mind, of course, helps as well. Years in business makes a big difference, especially such a big house. You want to make sure they've been around. They're going to do a good job for you as well. It's not a small little dinky like 500 square foot condo that you're going to be painting. So it's a big job, and you want to make sure it's done properly in a reasonable amount of time. So check to make sure. How you can find out how long they've been in business is check their online reviews, and then find out how far it goes back. You want to make sure it goes back at least 5 to 10 years. If they don't have a 5 to 10 year back like a track record, then I'm not saying they're going to do automatically a bad job, but the chances are a lot better if they've been around doing homes for at least 5 to 10 years. They got a track record, thousands of homes, hundreds of homes, and with tons of reviews, your chances are a lot better. They're going to be accountable. They're going to be honest. They're going to be upfront with you. They're going to tell you not just what you want to hear, but the reality. And so that way you're not blindsided halfway through the job with surcharges and whatever. You want to make sure they've been around for a while. The final is the most obvious, but use your gut feeling. If you feel that they're there for you, if they take their time handling all your needs, they're there truly for you. They tell you the way it is. They don't just tell you what you want to hear. That's really important as well, because like I said, you don't want to be blindsided halfway through the job or at the end of the job with extra charges or with things you didn't expect. So use your gut feeling. If you feel they're honest, they're going to do a good job for you, the chances are they are. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, I love doing these. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me and I'll be happy to do one of these on different topics. I do this at least once or twice a month, talk about all our homeowners, their needs, questions, concerns, what they're looking for. We're going to go over colors in the near future, some of the top colors in 2021 that are coming up. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, post a like if you like what you hear, any comments, and we'd love to hear from you. And you can also contact us directly through email, sales@homepainterstoronto.com, or you can also call us directly at 416-494-9095. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.